Hello, welcome to Diary of a Creator. So I wanted to chat in today's video about fulfillment because we all want fulfillment, right? This is why we all go on this journey. This is the inner trigger where we really truly want to feel that fulfillment, that contentment, that joy with the life that we're creating. And ultimately, that is the goal of life, is to create a life that fulfills you. But there is something that happens to all of us where we tend to think we are creating a life that is going to fulfill us, but it actually does the opposite. And I wanted to touch in on that because it's a tricky one to spot. Um, it can feel more obvious in some cases, but even for myself, I've unbeknownst been doing it as well, just because certain ways that we are used to being can start to creep into even a journey where we're trying to create something completely new and completely different. And in terms of when it comes to creating, so think visions, goals, manifestations, whatever it is, wherever you're going, we can create from two spaces. We can create from our heart, or we can create from our mind, which is our egoic conditioned thinking. Now, what majority of people are doing at the moment is they are creating something that is not true for them, which in essence, it means they're creating from their egoic structure. They're creating from their conditioning rather than from their heart. Now, for us to feel true fulfillment, which is really ultimately what everyone is wanting, you must create from your heart what is true for you. Now, we are always creating from these two frames, always, no matter what we're doing. But there's really a few obvious dynamics at play to tell the difference between whether or not you're creating from your heart or whether or not you're creating from your mind and your egoic structure, which is your past tendencies, behaviors, actions, thoughts. And I want to chat into that one first. So there's really two key things to spot. If you're not sure if you are creating from which space, the way to tell if you are creating from your ego is, firstly, number one, there will feel like or need to be a lot of force and a lot of push energy. So the egoic mind is where most of our structures are operating in the world at the moment, and they are about the hustle, the 9 to 5 culture, work hard, push, push, push. You've got to keep pushing to achieve all of these types of things. They are very, very forced energy. What you will tend to find, if you were really playing into this, is almost like you're pushing up against a brick wall. And every time you hit the wall, you've really got to try hard to push the wall over, and then you keep moving. So it can feel like you've got weights on your shoulder, everything's hard. All of these kind of things are really immediate indications that you are actually not creating something that is true for you. The other one, which is the main one, because if you see any form of these goals to completion, you will get to the end to realize that after the initial high that you get from the achievement, you go straight back to feeling exactly the same as you did before. So this might have been something that you thought was going to fulfill you, make you feel content, at peace, but you will quite quickly come to realize that you don't feel any of that after the initial high is gone. Those are the two most obvious signs to look out for that you have created something that is not true for you. And I'm going to come on to how I've been doing this, but it is so, so common because this is actually how we've been taught to create our life, is through the mind and through force. And this is a tricky one because even amongst those, including myself, who has the objective to break free, create something new, get out of my conditioning, they also can wind up creating something that isn't true for them. So as an example, which is really where I've come to find myself as well, there's obviously a lot of people wanting to take this journey of breaking free, getting freedom, finding purpose, fulfillment, living from the heart, which is amazing. But what is actually happening is most of us, them, start looking for evidence of all of the ways that other people are doing that. So, oh, that person's done that, they've got free, oh, they've done this business. They want to help others. They look, oh, this person's doing this, there's this, there's this. They're looking for evidence around them of people who have done what they're getting an inner niggle that they want to do. So there is a lot of evidence right now of coaches and healers in the industry, by and large, on social media, everywhere. And so naturally, what is happening? A lot of people are starting this, I want freedom, I want to get out of corporate. Oh, look, these people are building their own business. That's freedom. Oh, these people are coaches. That's how I help people. And a lot of people are ending up taking that path. But we are not all on the planet to be coaches and healers, nor is being a coach or a healer the only way that you can help people. We're also not all on this planet to be business owners, because being a business owner is not the only way to get freedom. It's not the only way to break free of a 9 to 5 and a hustle. There are many ways to achieve freedom, to achieve purpose, to achieve fulfillment, and it will look different for everybody. But we get caught in this trap because this is the natural egoic structure to look at the current reality for evidence. So your mind and your ego will forever be trying to prove the concept of what you are feeling. But what happens in that moment is you actually start dwindling down what is true for you, and you start coming back into the egoic structure to fit with what you can perceive is possible. And so most people will operate this way. We are designed to look for evidence outside of us. This is a safety mechanism. And we will naturally want to look at what other people are doing for evidence. But again, it doesn't mean it's true for you. I started the journey in all of that, saying I want to break free of corporate. I want freedom. I want to help people. I want to feel meaning. I want to feel purpose. So naturally, I started to look around and see how other people are doing that. I had a bit of a clear, well, I did have a clear idea of the why behind why I wanted to do it. So I guess I had that with me, where I was filtering, only looking for specific modalities, studies that would fit with what I wanted to do. But the moment I stepped into these courses, started the business that I've got, I started to come back into the egoic trap, because what I was doing was looking for evidence of how people had been successful, what they'd done, the systems, the structures that they had implemented, the targeting. I got into a trap of needing to know and to learn more, which is one of my ego traps, is like the not enough quest for knowledge. There's never enough. And what slowly started to happen to me the entire time I was doing this, without realizing, kind of moving into a cookie cutter approach, it never felt good. But my scarcity from my egoic mind was like, you have to, you need to, you must do it this way. This is the way the business is done. There is a way. You've got to do it this way. And eventually I started to become a cookie cutter, and it didn't feel good. It started to kill my motivation for what I did. Like literally, it just became an absolute chore. It started to turn back into the hustle. It started to turn into the pushing up against a brick wall, and it didn't feel good. I didn't feel fulfilled from it. And honestly, it's been this past couple months where I've actually started to realize what had happened, because this is how unconscious it can be, where you think you are on a heart-led path of fulfillment, but the way you go about it starts creeping back into the egoic mind structure. And before you know it, you've gone and created something that feels exactly like the thing you were trying to get out of. And when I realized that, it kind of blew my mind, to be honest, because I was like, I didn't think I was doing that, but I was. The other thing as well is I also got caught in the trap of break free, the freedom from the 9 to 5, only to realize that running a business, particularly in the way that I have been doing it, I've hit pause now because it's just not it. It actually felt less free than being in corporate, because with corporate, I'd got to the point where my passion and energy wasn't in there. So I wasn't taking it home with me because I didn't care. And to me, freedom is time, it's space, it's time, and none of that was there. And so, in a nutshell, I'd gone and created something that just wasn't true for me. It was something that was run from my ego. And this is happening so much, honestly. There are so many coaches and healers and coaches coaching coaches, and this industry that is breaking out of to go into the heart, but without them realizing it, they start structuring and leading what they do back into the ego, and then it starts to feel in the same energy as what everyone didn't want. But it doesn't need to be this way. And this is where it calls for a lot of boldness, because following the heart and what is true is actually very difficult. But we need to be aware of this structure and this tension that is at play for us, where we will start following the heart into that human tension. We'll start following the heart without us realizing or being conscious. The ego will keep trying to crawl us back into a safer way to do it. So with me, like following the heart, going bold, oh, but you've got to do this structure, or you've got to have it this way, you've got to do this, 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 this. And you just actually start moving the needle back into the ego, and you don't even know you've done it. And so really, in essence, creating what is true for us is the only way to feel fulfilled. And to do that, we have to find out what is true for us. So put everyone else aside. Stop listening to other people for a period. Yes, you're allowed to seek advice and get help and all of that, but what you are here for and what you want to create can only come from within. And that sounds easy, except it isn't, because your heart might be telling you something that feels really far off, really ridiculous, really impossible right now. I've certainly had a few come through. I'm like, are you sure? Okay. I mean, sure, because your mind probably can't actually fathom often what comes up, but it's not really about that, because everything is a journey, right? So your heart might be saying you're going to be here. There'll be steps there. There's ways to get there. But the thing to know is there might not be any evidence that anyone else is doing it in your current reality. And that is the tricky part. So what I would recommend is spending time in silence, meditation, contemplation. Start connecting into your heart, your intuition. Allow it to kind of bring through what it needs. And when you feel that inspiration, just note it down, just allowing it to come through. You don't need to make sense of any of it. Just allow it to really come through. Now, watch when it does what your mind has a tendency to want to do. It's going to tend to want to go, yeah, but how do I do that? And then, but what about that? But I don't have that, but I don't have that. Just pay attention to that. Park that. We're going to kind of get to that later. But it's really creating the wildest vision that you can see possible for yourself is ultimately what's in your heart. And what we need to cultivate for it is enough self-belief to be able to make the choice to create it.